Hello, I am Nancy Leibach Aman. I want to share with you about my experience when I went through my PhD study. I have a PhD degree from the University of Arizona in the field of biliteracy. Oftentimes people will interpret the term biliteracy and they're not exactly sure what it entails. It does indeed relate to ASL and English. That's my study. However, this can include other languages such as English, Spanish, French, but the point of my study is to focus on how people learn two languages simultaneously. That's a big debate, or was a big debate, during my graduate study program. A lot of people had different views, and I thought it was really important that once you go through and study this, you realize that young children need to have access to both languages, whether it be ASL and English or Spanish and English, but that's what biliteracy means. We also talked about the concept of motherese. To use that word language is a powerful term. Motherese refers to that bonding language that mothers have with their young babies and children. And this motherese shows up in all different languages throughout the world, whether it be Spanish, French, English. So that was a really interesting concept. And I just want to talk about what biliteracy actually means for deaf children in particular. Bilingual education means that children have access to both American Sign Language and English. And English does not only mean reading and writing. It actually entails reading, writing, spoken English, and listening. Now, depending on the child, he or she may have the competency to learn how to speak, but if not, that's okay. The point is that the child, regardless of his or her hearing loss, needs to be able to have access and learn English, written English, and reading, of course. Some people think that SimCom plays a role in bilingual education, and it really doesn't. SimCom is a mode of communication. It's what we would call fragmented language, where you're mixing two languages, and the children become confused, and they often lose the message in SimCom. Sometimes you'll hear someone say, "Oh, I'm very skilled in SimComming," but let me tell you, I would love to meet somebody who really is skilled in SimComming. What happens is if you're SimComming and using the signing with the spoken English, the signing tends to go by the wayside because your brain is trying and working so hard to make the interpretation, and the signing can't keep up with that process. With ASL and English, they have different grammatical concepts and structure. In ASL, the time tense, the tense of verbs, often happens in the beginning of the sentence, where with English, that verb tense can take place in different parts of the English sentence. So, the English language is one of the most complex languages in the world. And learning this can be very challenging, and for families too. Families, who learn ASL much later, trying to find that balance between ASL and English is not always easy. And if they are signers who are picking up sign later in life, they might use English more in an ASL, or use ASL but in English word order. So we need to know that ASL and English are they're separate languages, but looking at how we present this to children is not through SimCom. What we need to do is emphasize language planning, place our emphasis on language planning. Who's responsible for that? Well, actually it's the team of educators, not just the parents, but the parents, the school administrators, the teachers. They establish a set of rules where, you would set the limit, okay, when you're outside or during lunch, or, specific times throughout the day, that's when you could sign, or that's when you would use spoken English, in order to promote both languages. We have to incorporate the reading and writing, though. And even during lunch, children should be exposed to signs with captions, or maybe they can use text, social media, Facebook, Twitter, those types of things to really help support the English text and growth of the language. This is critical. Children need to be able to see the connection and the relationship between ASL and English. One of my favorite stories, which I often share as an example when I'm sharing and presenting with people, and I talk with teachers like myself or other educators as we focus on language issues,